ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse through the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more.
I got the horses in the back, horse stock is attached. Head is matted black, got the bushes black to match. Riding on a horse, you can whip your Porsche. I've been in the valley, you ain't can't nobody tell me nothing. Nobody tell me.
The 2021 Major League Baseball season is less than 24 hours away from beginning, and we are here to break it all down for you and preview this upcoming season here on tonight's program. Good evening, folks. Happy Hump Day. I hope you guys are all doing well, and welcome into a brand new episode of Wild Sports Talk. This is a very special episode of Wild Sports Talk, as this is our 2021 Wild Sports Talk Major League Baseball Preview Show. My name is Isaiah Leung. I'm joining you guys from sunny San Francisco Bay. I got my Phillies shirt on. I got, the various, jerseys that I have. We got the Padres, the A's, and the Texas Rangers as, decorations in the back. Just so stoked for baseball season to be back. But I also got my guys, Sammy Sharp and Lorenzo Antonio, joining us on tonight's program. Loro, first of all, man, I'm so fired up to have you on tonight's show with me. Baseball season, like I said, is just 24 hours away from beginning. I know you're a big Dodgers fan. How excited are you for this upcoming season?
Oh, I'm thrilled. I'm pumped. I can't wait for tomorrow. Can't wait for opening day. Can't wait for the Dodgers to play the Rockies in a 4-game series this weekend. Looking forward to Clayton Kershaw's start tomorrow. And I am extremely confident that my boys in blue will win the World Series yet again. It's time for my guys to run it back.
Yeah, I mean, as you should be, because the Dodgers just have an extremely talented squad over there in Los Angeles. But Sammy, I'm going to go to you next. Welcome onto the program, man. Baseball is under 24 hours away from beginning. How excited are you that your Pirates are finally going to get going? And are you feeling optimistic that the Pirates are going to shock the world this season?
From 1 to 10. As far as how excited I am to see the Pirates, probably about 2, because I know what's going to happen. But, you can't be, pessimistic. I'm always optimistic for my Pirates, and I'm always optimistic about my tribe. I'm excited to see my Indians as well.
Yeah, dude, definitely. When the baseball season starts, every team starts at 0-0, and every team has a great shot at reaching the playoffs and also reaching the World Series. But folks, before we get into our baseball talk, just want to go to the comment section real quick. We had a lot of comments that flooded in. My guy Callan McClurk says, "Hey Leung, the Phillies are not back, and how about them Wolverines? Don't ever disrespect the West Coast Conference ever again." Well, Callan, we're actually going to get into that before we get into our baseball preview segment. And also Corey Goodrich says, "Hi from Minnesota, Roseville. I'm a big Yankees fan." Hey, your Yankees, they are one of my picks to win their respective division. And Chardot tunes in via his YouTube channel. He says, "What's up, y'all? What's going on, Chardot? Thank you so much for taking the time to tune into our show. We really appreciate it." Also, he says, "How's your Wednesday evening going?" Going well, my man. How about your Wednesday evening, Chardot? James Gonzalez tunes in. Hi, everyone. What's going on, James? Thanks so much for tuning in to our 2021 MLB Preview Show. Really appreciate it. Casey King, he tunes in, and he says, "Good evening, guys. And Isaiah, of all teams, I wanted your Wolverines to beat UCLA of all teams." Yeah, Casey, I'm sorry we failed you, but, oh, man, it was a rough loss. But we'll get into that in a sec. And Chardot also says, "I am so fired up for the start of the 2021 Major League Baseball season. But before we get into sports, fellas, just want to quickly remind all the folks out there that to check out our MI6 Sports Network Facebook page. If you guys haven't yet, that's the link down below. Check it out. Our podcasts, articles are all on there. And also, you guys can, please give us a like and a follow as well. We really appreciate it. Also, our YouTube channel down below right there. Click on that link. You guys can find our programs, our short clips, and various favorite moments of the MI6 crew on our YouTube channel. And last but not least, please check out our MI6 Sports Network website. We got articles there. We got our podcast there. We got other press releases as well there. Go check that out. You would really like it. But fellas, before we jump into our baseball preview segment for tonight, we have to get into some college basketball because, your boy has been very outspoken and very cocky during this NCAA tournament about how Michigan was gonna run the table. They were gonna beat everybody, and I didn't fear anybody in the NCAA tournament. But the Wolverines, their run came to a screeching halt last night against UCLA. This is how it ended.
Shot, but an offensive rebound opportunity. Okay, they've been really good, Michigan, when they've been able to move Dickinson inside and drop it to him, or Wagner is really good catching misdirection off the run, seeing if he can get downhill.
The moment of truth. 19.8 seconds. Here we go. Michigan down a point. Got a chance at the last one here to send them to the Final Four. Wagner for three. It's on its way. It's an air ball. But Brooks has a rebound now. It's rebounded by UCLA. A foul. My goodness. Jalen Bernard comes up with a rebound. A couple of really good looks. Michigan could not convert.
Well, got the ball in the hands of one of your better offensive players. Had a clean look, just left it short, wide open. And then Eli Brooks, I thought, could have took one more dribble and maybe gathered himself and what up now? UCLA, keep the ball out of the corners. Easy trap situation for Michigan to do. You want to keep it closer to the middle of the court.
Still have two more fouls to get him.
Very interesting to see right here if Juzang makes the free throw. Would they employ that foul strategy?
Juwan Howard has one more timeout.
Yep.
Juzang. And, he missed it.
Timeout.
Timeout is called. A lot of time rolled off the clock. I think they'll take a look at this. They'll probably add a few more seconds. So 3.8 time. And now they're in a position, last possession, Michigan with the ball, 6 seconds, down 2. A 2 to tie, a 3 to win it. And a trip to the Final Four. Here we go. Smith's got it. Across the midcourt line. Smith's going to pull a 3. This is for the lead. No. And did it expire? The officials look up. It's close. They will look at it. Maybe a half a second. Smith had a good look for the lead.
Yeah, good look. But I just like the fact that he had Tiger Campbell backpedaling. He could have gotten himself into what I think could have been an easier shot, because you really don't need the 3. If you can get the 2 and tie it, it's great. It's a good look. Don't get me wrong. Just off, and when it goes out, was it 0.6 maybe?
Jalen Clark touched it last. It's going to be Michigan ball. And let's see if we can get a mark as soon as it hits the baseline here, right?
There. 0.5?
5. Actually in this city.
Yeah. Well, it's the same.
Here we go. 0.5. Enough for a catch and shoot. Dickinson will put it in. There's the catch. Here's the shot. Wagner off the glass. No! Oh! It's over! And UCLA from the first 4 to the Final 4.
Last night was very devastating for me because, as you guys know, I'm a diehard Michigan fan. I've been supporting Juwan Howard and the Wolverines ever since, he became the head coach at Michigan. Thought he was a great hire. It was heartbreaking, devastation, all those feelings wrapped into one. It just sucked because, I said I think it was on Monday, that I was kind of scared of UCLA because UCLA they were riding a hot hand, and whenever you go into an NCAA tournament game where you are riding a hot hand, that those teams are always scary to play no matter their seed. And UCLA, I got to give them credit. They were really disruptive on defense. Michigan probably played their worst offensive game this whole entire season. They offensively, Juzang was tremendous. I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, but he was amazing in that basketball game. I think he had like 28 points. But, Michigan, before I get to that final play, I just want to say this. Michigan, they have only themselves to blame for this loss. They were careless with the basketball. They turned the ball over a lot. They couldn't shoot the ball to save their life. They did have a bunch of open looks down the stretch to potentially win the basketball game, but it just wasn't meant to be. And, I'm not like pissed off at the looks that they got. It was a good look. They just couldn't convert. Basketball is whether it's college basketball or whether it's the NBA, basketball is a make or miss sport. So as long as you give your troops good looks at getting a shot, then I'm all fine with it. But I wanna get into that final possession. Juwan Howard, I really don't understand what you're doing. That might have been the stupidest play call of all time. Juwan Howard, I ripped him to shreds after that Ohio State game because of really two garbage play calls in the final waning moments of that game that I think cost Michigan the basketball game. And to last night, it was the same thing. Michigan has 0.5 seconds left, right? And they need a basket desperately. They have to get a basket desperately. And I was sitting in the car with my guy, Stephen Wang, and shout out to you, Stephen, by the way. I was sitting in the car with Stephen, and I kept telling Stephen, do not give Franz Wagner the ball. Anybody but Franz Wagner can have that basketball. Do not give Wagner the ball, because even though I like Wagner, he's a good kid. I think he's going to be in the NBA one day, but the guy was absolutely ice cold shooting the ball this postseason. The guy was 2 of 15 from 3 this NCAA tournament. He was 0 for 7 from 3, I believe, the last game. In this game, I believe he was like 0 for 5 from 3. He was just having a really bad shooting NCAA tournament. And I kept saying, do not give the basketball to Wagner. Anybody but Wagner can shoot the basketball. Draw up a play for Eli Brooks. Draw up a play for Smith. Draw up a play for even Dickinson. He can have that basketball. Anybody but Wagner can have the basketball. But what does Juwan Howard do? On the final play, when you desperately need a basket, he draws up a play for Wagner to take the final shot. That was an absolutely stupid play call. I know you have 0.5 seconds left, but you do have time because UCLA called the timeout to draw up a play to get you a good basket. And I knew when Wagner caught the basketball, I was like, I put my glasses down. I was like, oh, God, he's going to brick that shot. He's going to brick that shot, and Michigan's season is over because the guy has been an automatic brick this entire postseason. I thought, I know that play call didn't cost Michigan that game, but I was very dissatisfied and very pissed off at that play call by Juwan Howard. But, hey, the game didn't go their way, but you got to give Michigan all the credit in the world. You got to give UCLA, obviously, all the credit in the world as well. Michigan, they had a tremendous season. They won the Big Ten regular season title. They were a number 1 seed, just a tremendous season. But it just wasn't meant to be this season for the Michigan Wolverines. But, Loro, I'm going to go to you next on this. What was your reaction to Juwan Howard and Michigan falling short against UCLA? And the second question I also have for you is, Do you have a problem with that final play call from Juwan Howard?
I mean, like what you were saying here is that the thing is, I feel like that Wagner, the guy you were talking about, he should have not shot the ball from what I heard. I didn't watch the game. I was watching the Dodgers-Angels game last night, and I heard Joe Davis call the last play, and then I heard that when UCLA won, I was like, it must be because Michigan missed a three. And I bet if someone shot that brick shot, then that's who deserves to get blamed after that missed shot by whoever shot that ball for Michigan. But with that being said, I'm happy for UCLA. I really think UCLA is this year's Cinderella story, and I think that's going to continue when they play Gonzaga. I really want to see them end Gonzaga's unbeaten streak.
That will be a very tall task for sure, because Gonzaga has looked like one of the best teams in college basketball. And, my guy Callum McClurg, before I get to you, Sammy, my guy Callum McClurg, he's been getting on me about, me disrespecting his West Coast Conference. And, Callum, I don't know if you're listening, but I'll say this live on air. Callum, I'm never going to doubt your West Coast Conference again. Your West Coast Conference is not full of scrubs. Gonzaga played, good teams this season, and I learned my lesson. I am not going to doubt Gonzaga again. I'm not going to say I'm not fearing Gonzaga ever again, and I'm definitely not going to, underestimate the West Coast Conference like I did this season. But, Sammy, I'll go to you next on this. What was your thoughts on, I know you're an Ohio State fan, but what was your thoughts on Michigan, the team up north, falling last night to UCLA? And do you have any issues with that final play for Michigan?
Well, opening up, it was fantastic to see the Wolverines go down. I wish there was fans there because I just love seeing their reactions, and to see Wolverine guy coach the team. Oh, man, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful moment last night. As far as that final play, you can't. I mean, you could argue Franz Wagner, the player, but as far as Juwan Howard's side, Howard did what he needed to do. He drew up a play, got an open three. You can't ask for much more on a 0.5 seconds left in a situation to win the game. He drew up a play to get the open three. That's what he needed to do as a coach. He did his job. Players gotta go through. This is this is also college. This isn't like professional players. So I'm not going to go on Wagner's case as hard as I would if it was Danny Green or players that are paid to hit that shot wide open in the crunch time. But it's a make or miss tournament, make or miss league. Basketball is a make or miss sport, man. If it was a 7-game series, I'm sure the Wolverines would win in 6 or 5 or 6 games. But, the March Madness is not a 7-game series. Best team doesn't win it. Sometimes it's the luckier team. UCLA got lucky because Wagner missed an open shot, a shot that he should have made. But, it's like we said, it's a make or miss tournament type of deal. You miss that shot, UCLA moves on.
Definitely, for sure, man. Basketball is a make or miss sport, like you said. But going into our comment section, we had a couple of comments. Corey Goodrich says, how are you guys doing? Thank you for watching our show, Corey. Really appreciate it. We are doing good. How about you up there in Minnesota? Also, Corey says, I'll miss that. Was a great game last night, the Michigan game. It was a tremendous game, but, as a Michigan fan, I obviously was not thrilled by the result. But, kudos to UCLA. They played a great game, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do against Gonzaga on Saturday. Also, Corey says that was a good game. James Gonzalez says Michigan got cold at the worst time. They missed their last 8 shots. Yeah, basketball is a make or miss league, and Michigan, they just went ice cold at the worst possible time, and that's why they're going home going back home to Ann Arbor instead of moving on to the Final Four. Callan says, hey, Leung, how about them Wolverines? Callan, you would just never let me off the hook for that one, aren't you? And also James says, I did not need that UCLA positivity last night. Ha, ha, ha.
Isaiah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, bro. But before we go on to this next segment, I just want to address something. You said going into this that you were a diehard Wolverine fan, and you've stuck with the Wolverines since they had Juwan Howard. They've only had Juwan Howard 1 year, okay? So you've been a diehard Wolverine fan, ride or die, for a 1 whole year where they're good.
Yeah, and I felt the heartbreak again, man. It just, you know, just I was scared of UCLA. I'll tell you guys this because, like, you know, obviously the hot hand thing, but I really thought that Michigan should have won. I thought Michigan would have won that game, and I think I went on record one time too and said that I don't fear Gonzaga, which looking back was not a smart move by me. But fellas, going in to our baseball preview segment, the segment that you guys all came here for, the 2021 baseball season, like we said earlier, is less than 24 hours away from kicking off. And let's start off, fellas, in the American League East. We've got the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Rays, the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Baltimore Orioles in that division. The New York Yankees, you know, they got Aaron Judge. They have Stanton, that dynamic duo. Pitching staff-wise, they've got some question marks there. They got a dynamic bullpen, though. The Red Sox, rebuilding club, traded Mookie Betts last season, traded Andrew Benintendi this offseason. They do, however, have J.D. Martinez, but he's getting up there in age. The big move for the Red Sox was they brought back Alex Cora, their disgraced manager who was suspended last season because of the entire Astros cheating scandal. He's back with the Boston Red Sox as their manager. The Red Sox, however, did not make that many offseason moves this offseason. Tampa Bay, they were in the World Series last season. They came just 2 wins short of winning their first ever World Series title. But however, this offseason, they lost Blake Snell. They traded him to the San Diego Padres. They also lost Charlie Morton to the Atlanta Braves. Toronto, you know, upstart squad, made the playoffs last season as one of the the second place American League East team. They added Marcus Semien, and they also added George Springer on a massive contract. And the Baltimore Orioles, a rebuilding squad. They didn't really do that much this offseason. But Loro, I'll start with you on this first. The AL East, who do you think comes out on top in this division in 2021?
Okay, guys. So my pick to win the American League East is the New York Yankees because I really think that Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Gary Sanchez, Giancarlo Stanton, and those guys on the Yankees, they got a stacked lineup, just like the Dodgers do. From 1 to 9, the Yankees have a stacked lineup. But their starting pitching remains a question mark. But I really think that the Yankees starting pitching is going to actually kill it this year because you got guys like Garrett Cole, Corey Kluber, Jameson Taillon. Then they got Domingo Germán back. I think Jordan Montgomery is going to have a breakout season. And I think the Yankees bullpen is going to be the best in the league.
So Loro has the Yankees winning that division. Sammy, before I go to myself on this division, how about you? Do you have the Yankees like Loro, or are you picking either the Red Sox, Rays, Blue Jays, or Orioles to win the AL East?
I got a tight matchup. You can't. It's really between the Rays and the Yanks, in my opinion. You can never doubt a team that was just in the World Series. But I'm going to agree with Loro with the Yankees. Again, like we said, they're stacked. Garrett Cole and Corey Kluber can come back and be even 70% of what he was in Cleveland. I think that they're a serious World Series contenders.
So we got Loro with the Yankees. Sammy also has the Yankees. Fellas, I will complete the trifecta for us. I'm going to go with the New York Yankees as well. You look at the New York Yankees. I was actually struggling earlier today when I was looking at who to pick for this division because I think the Rays are not going to be the same as last season. I don't think they're going to have the same success because they traded away Blake Snell. They also lost Charlie Morton, and they also traded away one of their best relievers in Jose Alvarado, their power-throwing lefty, to the Philadelphia Phillies. So I think the Rays are going to take a step back. Baltimore, they're rebuilding. I don't expect them to do that much. I think they're going to be in contention for the number 1 overall pick. Boston, I'm not really so sure what to make of them. It seems like they are right now just stuck in that mediocre phase of things. And it looks like that Boston is just trying to, rebuild their farm system and wait for their young prospects to come up before they make a serious run at contending for the AL East title. So I think it's going to be the Yankees or the Blue Jays. I like what the Blue Jays did. They have a good rotation with Hyunjin Ryu leading that rotation. They got their infield is so stacked. You got Vladimir Guerrero Jr., you got Bo Bichette, you got Calvin Biggio, and you add Marcus Semien to the fold, and then they add George Springer, who is a monster hitter. He's a great defender as well. He's going to bring leadership to that team. But the issue with the Blue Jays that I cannot get over is their bullpen. I think the bullpen is going to be the weak link of Toronto, because when you look at their bullpen, their closer, Kirby Yates, he went down with an elbow injury in spring training. He was supposed to be their closer, and now he's going to have to undergo Tommy John surgery and most likely miss the entire season. So, and you need a bullpen to win in a 162-game season. It's not going to be a 60-game season like last year. It's a 162-game season. So the Blue Jays, with no bullpen, I just can't put them over the top of the Yankees. And with the Yankees, their only issue, though, is, yes, they have question marks on the pitching staff. Judge, Stanton, we know what a dynamic duo they are, LeMahieu, and the rest of those guys. If they can stay healthy, I believe the Yankees have a chance to win at least 100 games with Garrett Cole leading that pitching staff. And like Loro said, their bullpen is just dynamic. So I'm going to go with the Yankees to win that division. But folks, feel free to drop in the comment section about who you guys think will win that division in the AL East. I got the Yankees. Loro has the Yankees, and Sammy has the Yankees as well. But moving on to our next division, we go to the AL Central, where we have the Minnesota Twins, the Chicago White Sox, the Cleveland Indians, the Kansas City Royals, and the Detroit Tigers. The Twins, they lost a couple of pieces, didn't really make that. Or their big move was adding Alex Colomé, the former White Sox closer. Chicago, they already had a great team. They brought in Tony La Russa, the 76-year-old manager, to replace Rick Renteria. They also added Lance Lynn in a trade. They also added Liam Hendriks, the former dynamic closer of the Oakland A's, that is. Cleveland, their big addition was Eddie Rosario. They seem like they were stuck in rebuild mode. Royals, they added Andrew Benintendi, and also the Tigers. Their big move was hiring AJ Hinch, the disgraced manager of the Houston Astros, to be their new manager. But Sammy, I'll start with you first on this. Who you got taking home the AL Central in 2021?
I got the Twins. I really liked what I see from them last year, and going into this year, seeing how their roster's put together. Versus these other versus the White Sox, and you have the Detroit Lions, Detroit Tigers, and the KC Royals, who are both rebuilding. And then Cleveland, they went completely cheap this year on free agency. So you have three teams that I think Cleveland is either make or miss. I think they could get hot sometimes. I think they could go extremely cold sometimes. So I think with three dysfunctional teams. And, Jimenez being out 5 to 6 months as of right now, and that's just the season hasn't even started yet. So, we don't know who the White Sox are going to be hurting throughout the year. So the Twins, I think, have the best chance of being the healthiest team and taking advantage of a weak division and winning the division.
So Sammy's got the Twins taking home the AL Central. For me, I'm going to go with the Chicago White Sox. I said this when they signed Liam Hendriks, that I believe that the Chicago White Sox were the best team in the AL on paper. And, deservingly so, because the White Sox they have a great roster. You got Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada with Jose Abreu, and on your infield, your outfield, you got Luis Roberts. I know you got. They also added Adam Eaton. That Eloy Jimenez injury, that was so unfortunate because he's a great player, but he unfortunately is going to be out 5 to 6 months. They also, like I said, they added Lance Lynn to a stacked rotation with Lucas Giolito leading that rotation, and then they added Liam Hendriks to bolster an already great bullpen. So when I look at this division, I think the White Sox are number one. I'll say the Twins are going to be, second in the division because they made a lot of, key moves. They added Andrelton Simmons, they added Colomé, they added Shoemaker and J.A. Happ as well to bolster the rotation. But I just can't see them, usurping the Chicago White Sox. And then as far as, the 3, 4, and 5 in this division, I think it's going to be Cleveland number 3, since Cleveland, like you said, Sammy, they're really hit or miss. Their lineup last season wasn't that good, and they traded away Francisco Lindor, so that makes it even worse. They're number 3 for me, and then I got the Tigers and the Royals battling it out for the 4th and the last place in that division. I think the Tigers will be better than the Royals because I think AJ Hinch is a genius. I like what he did, besides the cheating, I like what he did in Houston, and he got he works well with young players. So I could definitely see the Tigers, eclipsing the Royals for the battle of the cellar in that division. So I got the White Sox winning that one. But Loro, how about you? Who you got taking home the AL Central?
I got taking home the American League Central. I got the Southsiders, the Chicago White Sox, because I like this young team with Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, Tim Anderson, Michael Kopech, Lucas Giolito, and Yohan Moncada and Jose Abreu. I really think that the White Sox hit a home run when they brought back Tony La Russa as their manager. Although I did like Rick Renteria managing the team, but I just felt like that Rick Renteria and the Chicago White Sox front office, Rick Hahn, they did not see eye to eye on the vision of this team. The White Sox are in a win-now mode, and I do think that Tony La Russa gives them the best chance to succeed and compete in the American League.
So me and Loro are going with the Southsiders. Sammy's got the Minnesota Twins. Feel free to drop in the comment section who you guys got. Is it the White Sox, the Twins, or are you guys going to go with either the Indians, the Tigers, or the Royals to win the American League Central? But moving on to the AL West, fellas, we got the A's, the Mariners, the Rangers, the Astros, and the Angels. Last season, the A's finally got over that hump and eclipsed the Houston Astros, and they took down the Astros and won the AL West for the first time since 2014. The A's, they returned all their guys. They also added Trevor Rosenthal to the back end of their bullpen. They brought back Mike Fiers. They lost Marcus Semien in free agency, but they did bring in Elvis Andrus. The Astros, Framber Valdez, one of their top pitchers in their rotation, he's out for, I believe, 6 months with a fractured finger. They brought in Jake Odorizzi. They also brought back Michael Brantley, but they did lose George Springer. The Mariners didn't really do that much in free agency besides, cause controversy with the Kevin Mather comments. The Angels, they were supposed to bring in a ace pitcher, but they brought in Jose Quintana. They also brought in Iglesias, the closer of the Reds. And the Texas Rangers, they're off to a rebuild again as they offloaded Lance Lynn to the Chicago White Sox and their face of their franchise, Elvis Andrus, to the Oakland A's. Sammy, I'll start with you on this. Which one of these teams do you think takes home the American League West?
Well, I don't go for cheaters, so I'm going to go with the Oakland A's. They're returning most of the team. I like that. I love consistency in a sports fan. And, consistency with a good team is always the best formula. If they can run it back and win the division again, that would be huge for them as well, as far as morale boost.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. How about you, Low Road? You got the A's, the Astros, the Angels, the Rangers, or the Mariners taking home this division?
I had to give the American League West a second thought. Originally, I wanted the Houston Astros to win the AL West, but I changed my mind on this pick, so I am actually going to pick the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim to win the American League West, because I really think the Angels pitching is going to get better. They got Iglesias. They got Alex Claudio. I really think the Angels bullpen is going to get better this year, but I think that they're one bullpen piece away from being true contenders. I think the Angels starting rotation is going to be so much better than it was last season, and I really think that this Angels lineup is going to get the Angels far in the playoffs, and I really think, and I want to see Mike Trout get a playoff win.
Wow, what a shocking pick by Low Roll there, picking the Los Angeles Angels to win the American League West. Fellas, I'm going to go with, the team that I work for, the Oakland A's. I can't pick against them. Last season they won the division for the first time since 2014, and I think they got even better this offseason. They have already a really stacked lineup with Olsen and Chapman coming back from his injury. I think Chapman, he'll be back to the Matt Chapman of 2019 instead of the Matt Chapman of 2020, who was just striking out at an alarming rate. And then you look at Elvis Andrus. I know they lost Marcus Semien. Marcus Semien was a great offensive player, but he wasn't that good defensively. And Elvis Andrus is one of the best defenders at shortstop that we have seen in a long time. He's also a really productive offensive player as well. I know last season at Texas did not go well for him, but I think that he, with a change of scenery, will really bode well for him. And then you look at the A's on the outfield. You got Mark Hanna in left. You got Laureano in center, and also you got Piscotty. Those guys, they're really productive hitters as well. Really good defensive players as well. And then you look at the rotation, Chris Bassett, who, I'm going to reveal later this, but I think he can win the Cy Young this year. I think that's how good he is. He's a really good pitcher. He showed it last season when he dominated hitters on a consistent basis for the Oakland A's. If he could stay healthy, I definitely think that he's going to win the Cy Young. Luzardo's up and coming. Minaya, if he can stay healthy, he's a solid pitcher as well. They also have Montas, who, if he could be, if he can find consistency, that's the thing with him. He's been so inconsistent throughout his career. If he can find consistency, I believe the A's are going to have one of the best rotations in baseball. And then the bullpen, I know the bullpen last year was already really good, and they got even deeper this offseason when they added Rosenthal to replace Hendricks. They added Sergio Romo, even though I know he's not what he once was, but still, he's a really reliable reliever. They re-signed Petit. They also have, Jake Diekman, who is outstanding, and they have Trevino, who can throw 98 to 100 with a nasty cutter. So I think the A's, they definitely can – I think will win the division. The Astros, I think they took a step back by losing Springer. They have a really good lineup, but I have major question marks about their starting pitching and their bullpen. The Angels, they have a great lineup, but again, starting rotation and bullpen is a big question mark for me. And then the Rangers and the Mariners are just stuck in rebuild mode. So I got to go with the Oakland A's on this. So I got the A's. Low Roll's got the Angels, and Sammy has the A's as well. But going into our comment section, Chardot is going with the Chicago White Sox to take home the American League Central Division. Good pick, Chardot, by the way. But, fellas, going into our AL wildcard predictions, there are 2 wild cards per league in baseball. So, Sammy, I'll start with you on this. Who are the 2 wild card teams that you think will be representing the American League this season?
I got the Angels and the Devil Rays going at it. I think that would be a very interesting matchup, especially in a one-game setting, and with a player like Mike Trout being in there. That'd be very interesting. And I think that the Angels are very in a good position to contend with that AL wildcard. And another team that look out for are definitely the White Sox and the Indians. Like we said, that the Indians are streaky, inconsistent. This is a team that, if they can get their act together, if they can find that leader in the locker room, I think this is a team that could very easily find themselves in that second wild card spot because of how well they're managed and how young they are. That it could possibly click. And like we said with the White Sox, they're a very good team. Probably one of the best teams in the AL. I don't know if they're with the injuries, even the injuries before the season started is what scares me. The season hasn't even started, and the player's already out 5 to 6 months. That is a key player to this team. So that's my biggest concern about the White Sox as of right now, and why I didn't pick him over the Angels.
Wow, yeah. So Sammy is going with the Angels and the Tampa Bay Rays as his 2 wild cards. Loro, how about you? Who are your 2 AL wild card teams this season?
I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins and the Toronto Blue Jays as my 2 wild card teams. I really think that both teams are going to play in this 1-game wild card play-in, and I think that the Twins, I think, will have the edge in this game just because I really think they're due for a playoff win. And I think with the Blue Jays, I really think that the Blue Jays are a year or 2 away from being true contenders in the American League East. I think this Toronto Blue Jays team is going to be intriguing to watch.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. They are going to be very intriguing. That's why I was really struggling with my AL East prediction this afternoon. But for me, I'm going to go with the Blue Jays and the Angels. I think these 2 teams, I'm picking them over the Twins. I'm picking them over the Astros. I just like the Blue Jays. I like what they've done this offseason to add to that already loaded team. Like I said earlier, with Guerrero, with Biggio, with Bichette and Ryu, and you add George Springer and you add Marcus Semien to the mix. The bullpen scares me, but I still think the Blue Jays are going to be very competitive in the AL East, and they are going to take one of the wild card spots. And as far as the Angels, you got Mike Trout, best player in baseball. You got Shohei Ohtani. If Ohtani can stay healthy, I think that would be a great thing for the Angels. You got Rendon. Pujols, if he can bounce back, that would also be a great shot in the arm for the Los Angeles Angels. The pitching, even though they didn't get that ace, I kind of like what the Angels did on the pitching staff. They added Quintana. They also added, Iglesias, like I said earlier. The Angels also added Alex Cobb as well. You add those guys to Dylan Bundy and Andrew Heaney and Griffin Canning. They have good pitchers in the rotation. They have a rotation that is deep, but they don't have that ace. And if they can get that ace, I believe that ace will take them, to the place where they can contend with the A's for the top of that division. But until they have that ace, I just don't see it. And I think the Angels, for me, get the wild card spot in the AL. So I got the Blue Jays and the Angels in the wild card. Sammy has the Rays and the Angels. And Loro, who did you get?
The Twins and the Blue Jays.
The Twins and the Blue Jays for Loro. But going into our comment section, Chardot's his pick to win the American League East. He's going with the New York Yankees to take home the American League East. And a shocking pick by Chardot about his AL West prediction, fellas. He's going with the Texas Rangers to win the American League West. Sammy, Loro, you guys want to take this?
I mean, I like what Chris Woodward's doing with the Rangers. I knew Chris Woodward from his days coaching on the Dodgers as the Dodgers' third base coach. I think the Rangers are still rebuilding, and they still have a lot of work to get done. But I'm laughing at this pick. They're ways away from being a division contender in the American League West. Are you kidding me?
Sammy, you got any thoughts on this?
I agree with Chardell as far as winning the first overall pick or highest draft pick in the AL West Division. As far as winning it, as far as best record goes, though, I don't think they'll get it.
Yeah, even though I have their jersey up, but yeah, I definitely agree with you guys. The Rangers, they will be contending for the number 1 pick in the MLB draft instead of contending for the number one seed in the AL West division. And this was my reaction to Chardot's comment.
What the are you looking at?
Exactly. Makes no sense whatsoever. But fellas, moving into the National League side of things, we go to the National League East, which is one of the most competitive division in all of baseball. You got the You got the Atlanta Braves, who have taken home this division the last couple of seasons. The Philadelphia Phillies, they have Bryce Harper. They have JT Realmuto back. They got Aaron Nola. They got Joe Girardi to manage the team. The New York Mets, they got Francisco Lindor. They got Carlos Carrasco. They got new ownership, which is very aggressive and wants to spend a lot of money to win. The Marlins, they made the playoffs last season. And the Washington Nationals are not far removed from taking home the World Series championship. So, Loro, I'll start with you on this first. Which one of these teams do you think takes home this incredibly competitive division?
It's going to be a tough division. It's going to be a great race between all four teams in this division, but only one wins the division. And I'm going to pick the Atlanta Braves to win the National League East because I think the Braves, since when they re-signed Marcell Ozuna, they're ready to take that next step to potentially bringing home a World Series crown to the city of Atlanta. But here's my other take on this, folks. I really think that the New York Mets are going to challenge the Atlanta Braves for the NL East crown. And I'm also not underestimating the Washington Nationals because they got a good pitching matchup of Steven Strasburg and Max Scherzer. They just got John Lester. The Nationals got Josh Bell, which is going to really help with their lineup. And I think the Marlins, they're still young. I didn't even expect them to make the playoffs this past season, but I think the Marlins need a lot of rebuilding to do, but they're heading in the right direction. And the Phillies, I love their lineup, but I have to just see if their pitching will get them there, which I think, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler are guys that are pretty much the only two aces on that starting staff. But for me, I think the NL East will come down to the Braves and Mets, but my pick is the Atlanta Braves to win the NL East.
So Loro's going with the Braves to win the NL East. Sammy, how about you? Is it going to be the Braves taking home the division again, or do you think my Phillies can upset the Braves and finally win the division and make the playoffs for the first time since 2011, or do you think the Mets or even the Marlins or the Nationals have a crack at winning this division?
I'm going to go with the Mets. I really like their hitting as a complete team. One of the best teams on base percentage. And adding James McCann to that lineup is certainly big. And consistency is one of the biggest things in a 163-game schedule. And I think the Mets have the best at it. I don't have them having a good record. I don't really think any of these teams are going to have a good record. Not because I don't think they're good enough. It's just, whenever you have 4 or 5 not elite teams, but really good teams in the same division, it's hard for any team to separate themselves. Even if they are an elite team, it's hard for them to get that extra notch to say they're better than other teams in other divisions. That strength of schedule is not going to let them, flourish. But I'm going to go with the Mets.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a bloodbath in this division for sure. But Loro's going with the Braves. Sammy's going with the Mets. Fellas, you guys know who I'm going to go with. I'm going to shock y'all. I'm going with the Philadelphia Phillies. And the reason why I'm going with the Phillies is not because they're my favorite team. It's because the Braves, I like what the Braves are doing. They have these young pieces in the rotation with Soroka, Fried, Ian Anderson, who were terrific in the postseason. But their bullpen is a question mark. They lost their closer, Melanson. Will Smith, he was kind of inconsistent last year. They also lost Shane Green. They also lost Adam Duvall. So I just have a lot of question marks about their bullpen. Their rotation's going to be great. Their lineup's going to be great, but it's that bullpen that really scares me about the Atlanta Braves. And Soroka, he's got injury woes. He's had injury issues throughout his entire career. So we'll see how that transpires. Ian Anderson, it was his rookie year last season. Teams now have film on him, so we'll see how he does in his second season, and hopefully he doesn't have a sophomore slump. But when you look at the Phillies, this Phillies team last season, fellas, they won 28 games. I think their record was, Sammy, Loro, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Phillies were 28-32 or 28-31, something like that.
That sounds about right. They've had achieved, I feel like, since they've gotten Harper.
Yeah, the Phillies, I think, were 28-31, but they won 28 games with a historically bad bullpen, and their bullpen last season blew 13 games. So if you win like just half of those games, like 6 or 7, you're in the race to win the NL East with the Braves and with the New York Mets. So I think the Phillies, they got better like on the bullpen side of things. They added Archie Bradley, Brandon Kinsler, the former closer of the Miami Marlins. He's now a Philadelphia Philly. Those two additions are going to be huge for the Phillies. The rotation, like Loro said, with Nola, with Wheeler, you got Matt Moore coming over from Japan, Chase Anderson, Zach Eflin, who's bound to have a breakout season. Their rotation is kind of a question mark, but I like Nola and Wheeler at the top, and then their lineup with Harper, with Rio Muto, with Segura, with Didi Gregorius, with Alec Boehm, the rookie sensation who was terrific last season for the Phillies. The Phillies, they have a talented team, and they have a great manager, Joe Girardi, who knows how to win, dating back to his days with the New York Yankees. I just think Philadelphia, I think, will be for me, like, it will be a bloodbath, but I think Philadelphia comes out on top. The Braves, I have them at I'll go with the Mets at number 2 because I like what the Mets have done with Lindor and adding Lindor and adding Carrasco. The Braves, I think, will be third in that division. And then you have the Nationals with Strasburg and Scherzer and all those guys at fourth. And then I think the Marlins will be fifth. But this is going to be one hell of a race. It's going to be a really close division battle. And I expect this division to go down to possibly the final week of the season before it gets decided. But going into our comment section, let's see. Chardot says, "Go Rangers," but that's all for the comments. But folks, feel free to comment down below if you guys got the Phillies, the Mets, the Nats, the Marlins, or the Braves taking home the NL East. Chardot says he explains about his Rangers pick. Fellas, this might be the most craziest comment I've ever seen in my history during doing this show. Chardot says, I think the Rangers have a well-equipped team with Joey Gallo, David Dahl, and Rougned Odor, and the 2021 World Series matchup, get this, fellas, from Chardot, is going to be the Texas Rangers and the San Francisco Giants. Sammy Lobo, I need to take some time to, gather myself, so feel free to respond to this comment.
I think I'll pass on this one.
Sammy, isn't this comment like one of the most craziest like you've seen since you've been doing the show?
Oh, it's up there, man. It's definitely up there. It's not as not as bad as Cullen Mund at number 3 overall, though.
Yeah, that one's definitely like number 1, and this one probably sits there at number 2 or very close next to it. But this was our reaction to this comment. What? Couldn't believe it, man. Crazy comment. But moving on to our next division, we gave our NL East division prediction. Now it's time for the NL Central, which I think will also be another good race. You got the Cubs, the Reds, the Pirates, the Cardinals, and the Milwaukee Brewers in this division. Sammy, I'll start with you on this. Who do you think takes home this division? Do you think your Pirates have a shot at, maybe stunning the world and taking home this division?
You never say never. But I'll go with the Cardinals on this one. I like what the Cardinals are doing as far as building their team back up. They did it in a very quick manner from one dynasty to where they are now to where they could be running the table in the division again this year.
So Sammy goes with the St. Louis Cardinals to win the division. It's a really good pick, Sammy. They added Nolan Arenado. They also have Paul Goldschmidt. They have a good rotation as well and a good bullpen. So I definitely could see the Cardinals, taking home this division. But Loro, I'll go to you on this. Are you going with the Cardinals like Sammy, or are you going to go with any of these other teams to take home this division?
I'm going to go with the St. Louis Cardinals and doing the National League Central because They got Nolan Arenado. They got Paul Goldschmidt in the same lineup. You got Molina, Paul DeYoung. You got a great pitching staff with Jack Flaherty, Adam Wainwright, Carlos Martinez. Their Cardinals bullpen is very good. But I'm not underestimating the Cubs or the Brewers, but I think the Brewers are the team that everybody should sleep on. But really, my pick to win the National League Central is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, I gotta agree with all of you guys on this. I gotta go with the Cardinals as well. You know, they added Arenado. You have that pitching staff with Jack Flaherty leading it. You also have your infield Goldschmidt, Arenado. That's one hell of a lineup right there. Molina as well, and the Cardinals, their bullpen is stacked as well. So even though I think that the Cardinals, they did lose a couple key pieces with Wong and Dexter Fowler going to other places, I still think the Cardinals are going to be the top team in the NL Central. I think watch out for the Brewers, guys, because last year Christian Yelich, he had one of the worst years of his career in that 60-game season, and I think he's primed for a bounce-back season. I think he's going to be very dangerous for the Milwaukee Brewers. And they also added Colton Wong, who I think was a really good signing by them. They added Jackie Bradley Jr. as well, and they added Travis Shaw. So, and you combine that with Brandon Woodruff and Corbin Burns continuing to pitch like aces. The Brewers, they have the pieces to climb past the Cardinals and win the division title, but I just got to go with St. Louis. I think they're too explosive. The Cubs, it depends on their injuries. Chris Bryant's always hurt. Baez was hurt last season. Rizzo, it's his contract year. Contreras also, I think it's his contract year. So the Cubs, they could potentially go from, potentially being like a top team in this division to potentially being the last place team in this division, because they might trade everybody at the deadline. I think Contreras is a free agent. Hendricks might be traded. Bryant's a free agent after the season. Baez is a free agent. Rizzo's a free agent. So the Cubs, I think they're headed for another rebuild. They traded away Yu Darvish, and they also lost Kyle Schwarber. But this is a transition period for the Cubs. And then the Reds, I never really bought into the Reds because, yes, they got Doolittle, they have Castellanos with Votto and those guys, but the Reds, they're inconsistent. And David Bell, their manager, I just don't think he's a good manager. He just seems, or he's a guy that is always, I love his passion, but I don't think the guy can coach on the field. He's always just getting ejected for, arguing with the umpires, and it just doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing on the field. And, Sammy, sorry about it, but I think your Pirates are going to be up there with the Rangers and Orioles competing for that final or that number one draft spot in the MLB draft. But going into our comment section, Chardot's going with Atlanta to win the NL East division. I think Freddie Freeman is one of the most exciting players on the Braves, definitely for sure. He could be an MVP candidate as well. But, fellas, going into our final division for the night, we got the NL West with your Dodgers, Loro. We got the San Francisco Giants. We got the Padres, who loaded up. We got the Rockies, who traded away Arenado, and they might trade Trevor Story midseason, and the Arizona Diamondbacks, who are kind of sitting there in mediocrity. Loro, you are our resident Dodger fan, so I'll start with you first on this. Who are you going with? Are you going with your Dodgers, or are you going to stun us and go with any of these other teams?
Well, that's a good question that you asked me. So I'm going to say this, folks. My pick to win the National League West is, of course, the defending World Series champion, Los Angeles Dodgers. They are going to win the National League West for a 9th straight year. And I expect this team to not only win the division again, I expect this Dodger team to win the World Series again, because they got a great lineup 1 through 8. They got a deep pitching staff, good bullpen. The bullpen has been a question mark for the Dodgers in their postseason choking. But at the same time, I really think the Dodgers bullpen has gotten so much better since last season, and the Dodgers starting rotation is just unreal. So I'm also not going to underestimate the San Diego Padres because they got good. They got loaded with pitching too. I think the Padres will be a good second team in the National League West. But I also think that, I mean, the Diamondbacks are going to be pretty good. I think the Giants are okay. But the Rockies are going to be just like, they're not going to be, the Rockies are going to not be so good this year because they traded Arenado. I think that team and organization is just quite a mess. But I do have my LA Dodgers winning the National League West and winning the World Series.
So Loro goes with his Dodgers to not only win the division for the 9th straight season, but win the World Series. Sammy, how about you? Are you going with the Dodgers, the defending champs, or you think the Padres or the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, or the San Francisco Giants have what it takes to knock the Dodgers off?
I think the Padres and the Dodgers are the two best teams in the NL. With that being said, I do not think, though, neither team will get the first seed. I think the first seed will go to the Cardinals if we do this playoffs, because I think the Cardinals, it's nothing against the Dodgers or the Padres. It's actually a credit to them for having a tougher schedule. But I think the Cardinals right now have the easiest road. I'd say it's not that easy, but it's the easiest of these division winners to get to the playoffs, and probably one of the weaker schedules. But as far as the NL West goes, I think I'm going to go with the LA Dodgers, the defending champions, in a very tight series. It's a very tight season against the Padres. I think those two will be battling out. First in place will be alternating. And I think the Rockies will also, be a sleeper team and creep up there with them.
So Sammy's got the Dodgers. I got to go with the Dodgers as well. You can never, pick against the defending champs unless someone takes them down. And they got even better after they won the World Series last season. They added Trevor Bauer, who won the Cy Young last season. And you add that to an already great lineup with Bellinger, with Mookie Betts, with Turner, with Corey Seager, the World Series MVP. And, their pitching staff, like I was talking about, Walker Buehler, Julio Urias. They got Dustin May. They got Clayton Kershaw, Trevor Bauer. And in the bullpen, you bring back Blake Trinan. I think that was a good addition for the Dodgers, even though I think Blake Trinan can be shaky at times, but he's still a pretty solid reliever. And you add him to Kenley Jansen. The bullpen's going to be kind of a question mark, but I still think the Dodgers are just way too talented. The Padres, I like their additions, Blake Snell, Yu Darvish. They are going to go – it will be a neck-and-neck race between the Dodgers and the Padres, but until I see the Padres knock off the Dodgers, I just can't pick the Dodgers to beat the Padres. The Padres just seem like the little brother of the Dodgers, and unless they can, beat their big brother for the first time, I can't pick against the Dodgers. The Giants, like you said, Loro, I like their pieces. I like Yastrzemski. I like Dickerson, Donovan Solano. Cueto, I think he's a free agent after the season. Aaron Sanchez. They have Desclafani, Buster Posey's coming back after he opted out last season. The Giants, they just seem like they're in this, awkward phase where they want to contend. They have the pieces, or they have the big names like Crawford and Posey and those guys, but they're just getting older, and they're just primed to go to free agency now. And I think the Giants, they don't really know what they want to do, and I think they're just waiting for the Cueto contract, the Posey contract, as well as the Crawford contract and the Belt contract to expire after the season, and then just go into rebuild. But I do like the Tommy La Stella move. That guy is really going to help the San Francisco Giants. The Diamondbacks, I will say that the Diamondbacks will be third. I think Bumgarner bounces back. Luke Weaver has a good season, and I like their lineup. And they added, Soria and Clippard to their bullpen. I got them at 3, and then I think it's going to be the Giants and the Rockies battling it for the cellar in the NL West. But going into a comment section, Chardot says, as a San Francisco Giants fan, I'm really excited to see Pablo Sandoval, a.k.a. the Kung Fu Panda, playing on the Atlanta Braves. I'm excited to see what Sandoval can do with the Atlanta Braves. But fellas, going into our National League wild cards, once again, there's 2 wild cards for the National League. Loro, I'll start with you first on this. Who are your 2 wild card teams that you think will be representing the National League in the playoffs?
I'm going to say the San Diego Padres host the New York Mets in the National League wildcard game. And one of these teams is going to be playing the Dodgers in the division series.
All right, so Loro's going with the Padres and the New York Mets. Sammy, how about you? Who are your 2 wild card teams?
My first team is the Padres, obviously, because they're one of the best teams in baseball, in my opinion, going into next year. And for the second team, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm going to have them as my upset team.
God.
The Cinderella story. What can I say, man? This team
I'm not
This team is the next Cinderella. This is the George Mason of baseball in 2021. What can I say?
Hey, Sam, you know what? Baseball, it's a weird sport because every year you just have this team that comes out of nowhere, like that teams or people were predicting at the beginning of the season to be really bad, and they come out of nowhere like the Marlins did last season, and they end up making the playoffs. So who knows? We could see that, but I'm really proud of you for being that bold and putting that out there. But for me, I'm gonna go with the Padres because obviously we've said, the Padres are the second best team in the National League besides the Dodgers. They got a great pitching staff. You know, they got Lamet, they've got Snell, they got Darvish, and then Musgrove as well. And then their lineup with Tatis, with Myers, with they're just their lineup is just so stacked, and their bullpen, you know, even though they lost Rosenthal, they also lost Kirby Yates, but they still have the pieces in that bullpen to make it a good bullpen. So I got to go with the Padres as one of my teams. And fellas, the second wild card that I have is going to be the Milwaukee Brewers. I think the Milwaukee Brewers take home the second wild card. Like I said, I think Yelich has a tremendous season. I think he bounces back after his terrible season last year. And I like the rotation with Woodruff and with Barnes. And that bullpen also with Hader leading it. I like that bullpen a lot. So I'm going to go with the Padres and the Brewers. One of those 2 teams will be matching up with the Los Angeles Dodgers in the playoffs. But moving into our awards segment of this MLB preview show, we start with the MVP of baseball. Sammy, I'll start with you on this. Who do you got as your MVP of Major League Baseball for this season?
I'm not gonna go anywhere crazy. I'm gonna go with Mike Trout. I'm not trying to think of the stats, but when I'm trying to pick an MVP, I'm going to go with the best player. I'm going to go with the safest pick. And I think right now, as we're talking, Mike Trout is the best player in baseball.
Yeah, definitely he is. And that's Sammy's pick. He's got Mike Trout being his MVP. How about you, Loro? You got Mike Trout or you got someone else for your MVP pick?
American League. So, my pick for the American League MVP award goes to Aaron Judge, and my National League MVP goes to Corey Seager.
Wow, Aaron Judge and Corey Seager. I like the picks, Loro, but the thing with Judge, though, is he's got to stay healthy. That's the biggest issue with Aaron Judge, is he's been, hurt a lot of times in his career. But good pick. But for me, for my MVP pick, I'm going to go with Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts had a great season last year with the Dodgers in his first season, and I think he's going to get even better now that he's fully acclimated to being a Los Angeles Dodger. The guy last season, he hit 292, was just terrific for the Dodgers, and I think he's going to get even better. That's my NL MVP pick. And my American League MVP pick, I'm going to go with Mike Trout. Like Sammy said, you just can't, pick against the best player on the planet. So I got to go with Mike Trout. But Sammy, do you have a National League MVP?
I'd probably go with I'd probably have to go with Bryce Harper. I feel like he has something to prove, especially with how he's been doubted this year and last year. since he's joined the Phillies. I feel like he has something to prove, because a lot of people have doubted him and think that he doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah, I definitely could see, Bryce Harper, proving the doubters wrong and having an MVP season. But fellas, moving into our second award, we got the Cy Young, which goes to the best pitcher in both leagues of Major League Baseball. Sammy, I'll start with you on this. Who is your NL Cy Young and who's your American League Cy Young?
Well, my NL Cy Young is going to be the ace, Clayton Kershaw. And my AL Cy Young is going to be Garrett Cole. I think those are two very extremely high-level pitchers. I would say Shane Bieber for my Indians, but I don't know if the Indians will give him the run support or if he will stay on the Indians the entire year. I think this year will be a fringe year if they will rebuild in the middle of the year type situation if everything doesn't go according to plan early in the year.
All right. How about you, Loro? Who are your Cy Young picks for both the National League and the American League?
My pick to win the National League Cy Young Award is Walker Buehler of my Los Angeles Dodgers. And my American League pick to win the Cy Young Award is Garrett Cole of the New York Yankees.
All right, so Loro's got Walker Buehler and Garrett Cole. For me, fellas, this might come as a bit of a shock to you guys. For my National League MB or National League Cy Young pick, I'm going to go with Yu Darvish of the San Diego Padres. Yu Darvish, he had a great year last season, and I think he's going to get even better, pitching in that ballpark in San Diego instead of Wrigley Field in Chicago. And fellas, for my American League Cy Young pick, I think I already revealed it when I was making my pick for the AL West. Chris Bassett of the Oakland A's. Chris Bassett, had a terrific year last season. He had I believe a 2.86 ERA. He was dominant for the A's, and he was dominant in the postseason. And this spring training, he came up with a new pitch, which I think will make him even deadlier and harder to hit this upcoming season. So I got Chris Bassett and Yu Darvish. But fellas, moving into our final pick of the night, and that is our World Series prediction. Sammy, I will start with you first on this. Which teams will be representing the National League and the American League in the World Series, and who do you think takes home the World Series title this year in baseball?
Well, I think it depends if the Dodgers are able to win the series or not. If they're able to win the series and get out of the trap game against the Pirates, I think that they could win the World Series. If they cannot, I think I would go with the Cardinals. So I think it's 1A, 1B. I think those are two extremely equal teams. I'll go with the Dodgers just for this show's sake. And for the AL, I'm going to go with the Yankees. New York versus LA, a really big matchup. And I'm going to go with the Yankees. Yankees, they haven't been there in a minute. And I think that there's a lot of people doubting their pitching. A lot of people that are extremely hyping up the Dodgers. Dodgers can, I don't know if they'll be able to face the pressure whenever the fans are back in the crowds, back in the stands. So I'm going to pick the Yankees in 7.
All right, you got the Yankees in 7 over the Dodgers, right, Sammy?
Yes.
All right, Sammy's got the Yankees in 7. Loro, who are your World Series predictions for both the National League and the American League, and who takes home the title?
I agree with Sammy. It's going to be the Yankees and the Dodgers in the World Series. And Sammy, I'm sorry to say it, man, I'm going to say that the Dodgers will beat the Yankees in 7 games.
Ooh, that's going to be one hell of a series, man. Dodgers and Yankees, Dodgers in 7 games. But before I give my prediction to wrap up the night, Casey King, he couldn't comment on the stream because of technical issues. His predictions, fellas, AL East, he's got the Yankees winning the AL East. He's got the Blue Jays in 2nd, Rays in 3rd, Red Sox at 4th, and Orioles in 5th. AL Central, he's got the White Sox as his winner, the Twins in 2nd. Royals is gonna be his surprise team at 3rd, and also the Indians and Tigers battling it out for 4th and 5th. AL West, he's got the A's, the Angels at 2nd, Astros beginning of the fall of the Astros at third, Mariners and Rangers fourth and fifth respectively. His AL wild cards are the Twins and the Blue Jays, and he's got the Blue Jays over the Twins in the play-in game. NL East for him, he's got the Braves as the number one team in the NL East. He's got the Mets, the Nationals, and the Marlins. Phillies Phillies at the bottom of the division, which is crazy. The NL Central for him, Cards, Reds, Brewers, Cubs, and Pirates. Sorry about that, Sammy. And then the NL West, he's got the Dodgers. He thinks the Dodgers will have the best record in baseball, followed by the Padres, Giants, D-backs, D-backs and Rockies. And then his NL wildcard picks are the Padres and the Mets. And for his World Series prediction, fellas, get this. Dodgers in 5 over the White Sox, which is a very interesting pick. But, fellas, for my World Series prediction, we're going to throw it back to 1990, I believe. I might be wrong on that. 1988. It's going to be the A's coming out of the AL. It's going to be the Dodgers coming out of the National League. And even though I, really wanted to say the A's would win the World Series, I can't be that delusional. I'm going to go with the Dodgers beating the A's in 6 games, like they did back in 1988. I got the Dodgers winning the World Series again. They're just the best team in baseball. Bauer, you got Kershaw, you got Betts, you got Bellinger, you got all those great pieces. And, I know a lot of people might be ripping me over my A's going to the World Series pick. The reason why is because the A's, they have a great core. They got Chapman, Olsen, bullpen got even better. Pitching staff got even better as well. They're a team that is loaded, and I think right now if you had to ask me right now if the A's could take out the New York Yankees in a best-of-7 series, I think they definitely could, because I have question marks about the Yankees pitching staff. But fellas, actually, one last question for you guys before we go to final thoughts is, who's the manager that you guys think will be the first fired in Major League Baseball? Loro, I'll start with you on that.
I'm going to say until after the season.
There will not be any managers fired until after the season?
Yeah, I say that because there might be some managers that could be on the hot seat and might get fired at mid-season. I'm a fan of that, but I really think that if I had to choose a manager that's on the hot seat right now, I'm going to put David Bell on there.
All right, so you're going with David Bell. For me, before I get to Sammy, I'm going to go with Bud Black. Bud Black, the manager of the Rockies, he was hired to try to help the team win and help the team improve their pitching staff. And he was supposed to be this, pitching genius and finally help Colorado solve their woes of pitching up there in the Mile High City. But the pitching has been complete crap ever since he's been there. The team is now heading to a rebuild, and Bud Black didn't sign up for that. So I think Bud Black will run out at the end of the season, and I think that he ends up getting his wish and getting out of Colorado at the end of the season. But Sammy, if you had to pick a manager that you think is either on the hot seat or will get fired, who will you pick?
I think Chris Woodward of the Texas Rangers. It'd be 3 seasons that he is on the Rangers and 3 seasons that the Rangers have been horrible. So, if stuff keeps up, I don't see him lasting much longer in Texas. And he probably could get the boot this year if things do not go right in the beginning of the season. Well, as not right as in, horribly wrong. You have the worst record in baseball.
Yeah, I definitely could see that happening. Woodward getting the boot in the Lone Star State. But fellas, it's been a great baseball preview show, but it's time to head into our final thoughts for tonight's show. All right, folks, it's time to wrap it up. It's been a great baseball preview show. Thank you guys all so much for tuning into our show tonight. Loro, I'll start with you on this. What's your final thoughts for tonight's show?
I just can't wait for baseball season tomorrow. Happy Kershaw Day for those who love the Dodgers and Kershaw on the mound tomorrow. And I really think that the Dodgers, I'm going to predict it right now, I think they're going to sweep the Rockies easily in 4.
Wow, So Loro putting that out there. He's got the Dodgers sweeping the Rockies in 4 to open the season. But Sammy, what is your final thoughts for tonight's show?
Well, I am excited that T-Mobile is allowing customers to have free MLB TV, and I am now a T-Mobile customer because of Sprint and T-Mobile merging. So I'll be able to catch all my Indians games. Haven't seen many Indians games since I moved out to Western PA, but I'm excited to see my tribe. I'm excited to see my Buccos, keep up with them. And I want to thank the fans, for tuning in. And Isaiah, I appreciate you for having me on this MLB Preview Show. And I feel bad for your guys' teams because, if there's any team that I would not want to play in a one-game series, it would definitely be the Pirates.
Oh my gosh, man. You crack me up, Sammy. But, before I get into my final thoughts, I just want to thank the fans once again for being so great and for tuning into our show. I want to thank, my guy, Chardot. I want to thank whoever it is that is the fake Isaiah Leung. I don't even know who that is, but whoever you are, thank you so much for tuning in. I mean, first of all, you say Phillies will win it all, and then you say Cleveland Indians 2021 World Series champ. I mean, just pick one, please. But thank you to whoever that created that fake Isaiah account. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Chardot for tuning in. Thanks to Casey for tuning in. We're going to try to get that glitched fixed, and you can hopefully comment again on the show. James Gonzalez, thank him for tuning in as well as my guy, Callan McClurg. Thank you, Callan, for tuning in. And, Callan, let me tell you, buddy, the Phillies are back. I know you don't want to hear that, but you have to hear that. Corey, thank you so much for tuning in. And also, I want to thank Stephen Wang for tuning in as well. But, fellas, my final thoughts for tonight's show is I'm just absolutely thrilled to finally get back to work, man. This was a collage of, me working for the A's, and it's been 17 months since I last was able to go to the Coliseum and work A's games tomorrow. It's going to be a thrill to go back tomorrow. I mean, it's been a long time, and we didn't even know we were going to even have fans in the stands, let alone be able to work. So now we have fans in the stands. I'm able to work again. It feels so great. Can't wait to go back to work tomorrow. It's going to be so much fun and see my amazing colleagues tomorrow, and also see the great A's fans tomorrow at the Coliseum. And hopefully the A's can sweep the Astros to start the season in the Oakland Coliseum. But it's been a great show, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Enjoy the start of the baseball season. Baseball is officially back. Stay safe, stay healthy. And, one last announcement before we head on out of here. Wild Sports Talk starting next week. Wild Sports Talk will be moving from Monday and Wednesdays to Monday and Thursdays at 6:10 p.m. So make sure you guys make note of that. Wild Sports Talk will be on Mondays and Thursdays now on the MI6 Sports Network. But thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Enjoy opening day, and we will see you guys back on here on next week, Monday, to recap all the wild and crazy action of sports in the last 4 or 5 days. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
No stress, I've been